welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. So this week I'm just going to show you guys some really simple and easy meals that you can put together in very little time, and there's always going to be some extra if you wanted to take to work or to eat for the next day, which is wonderful. So I just have a block of tofu, and I have a whole bunch of mushrooms, and I have some leftover potatoes that I kept in a Ziploc bag in the fridge. So I decided that I was going to make a tofu scramble and incorporate all these ingredients, and I add some turmeric, I put garlic powder and onion powder in there. I also put some curry powder in there, and yeah, it was super delicious. And I just sauteed my tofu first and seasoned it, and then I just sauteed just plain on the pan with nothing in it for a little while, and then I add a little bit of water if it kind of gets a little bit stuck. And then I go ahead and throw in the mushrooms and cook those down for a little while, and then the potatoes are last, and I just check it for seasoning again. And this is salt-free because I decided to add just a little bit of Mrs. Dash, but you could add whatever seasonings you want. And then I also made thyme water so that it can infuse, because I like to let it infuse for the day. Usually I do it at night, but I didn't have time, so I'm letting that infuse so I can drink that throughout the day. So I want to add even more veg, and I like to have greens at every single meal. So I am adding some spinach. You can add kale if you wanted to. Whatever greens you have available would be wonderful in this dish. I also like to add parsley if I have some, but I didn't on this day, so I did not add some fresh parsley in, but that's a nice little addition. I like having the potatoes ready to go because I like adding either potatoes or rice to this because it's going to really bulk up the meal. It's going to save you a lot of money because you're going to be able to stretch out this meal, for at least 2 meals, maybe even 3, depending on your portion sizes. So I like stuff like this to take to work with me as well because it's super easy and it travels well, and I can eat it the next day, and it's even more flavorful because all those seasonings have had time to just get even tastier. And this is a lot of tofu compared to what I used to have, but I'm starting to incorporate a little bit more protein and still, focusing my meal on my starch and having as many veggies as possible. But this is a winter type of meal for breakfast because I don't really crave this in the summertime typically and other seasons. But in the winter, this is definitely a meal that keeps me full and satisfied, and I feel really good eating. So for lunch, I'm on the go, and I thought, what's quick and easy? I found these wraps that are whole wheat, and it says low fat, but there's no oil in it at all. So they are really healthy, and I just had some spinach, and I have some oil-free hummus that I showed you, and I just put that on a wrap, and I chop up my veggies. I use Mrs. Dash seasoning so I can be salt-free. I do incorporate some salt in my diet, but I don't overdo it. So I am going to have salt later on in my dinner, so I'm good with that. And I really like this Mrs. Dash seasoning, so I use that sometimes. And there's a whole variety of them as well. My daughter made this curry chickpea meal, which was so delicious, and I had some leftover rice, so I had that on the side. I put the chickpea mixture in with the rice and had that with my wrap. Super filling, very delicious, and I was able to get a lot of veggies in my wrap. So another really quick and easy meal is tomato soup. I like to make this when I'm in a pinch and I don't know what to make. I like having tomato cans handy at home. I got these for like 80 cents a piece, and they're really jumbo-sized crushed tomatoes with no oil, no added salt or anything in it. And I decided to make a yummy soup. I add 2 basil leaves, I add garlic powder and onion powder. I put in a lot of basil and some paprika, and that is it for my seasonings. Mix that up and then add some filtered water. I just use a mason jar and pour some water in, or reuse the can and just fill that up with some water and throw that in, and that way you get all the bits of tomato out of your can as well. And I just put on for 15 minutes in the Instant Pot. So I like to add chickpeas as well for extra protein and fiber, and usually I just throw them in whole, but on this day I decided that I was just going to puree it and just add it like a creamy sauce in it. So I'm just adding half of the or maybe even less than half of the chickpea water with the chickpeas, and I just blended that up with extra seasonings, garlic powder and onion powder, and that way it made a yummy creamy sauce. So you're just gonna toss that creamy sauce in, give it a mix, and it's ready to go. If you wanted to, you could puree the soup so it's nice and pureed, but I personally like the little chunks of tomato in it, so I leave it in, but that's up to you. The other thing that's optional, if you want to stretch out this meal and make it even more budget friendly and have more portions, I would add some potatoes in or some rice, and that way it fills you up a little bit longer, and you don't feel like you need to eat as much of it because it is really going to bulk it up by adding that starch. So I had some leftover rice, like always, we always have leftover, starches. So I just add, you just need a nice tablespoon of the rice or teaspoon, depending on how much rice you want in your soup. I think I added a little bit too much because I had to ladle a little bit more soup in after just to make it a little bit more soupy because the rice kind of thickens it up. So yeah, just be careful. A little bit goes a long way, and it's a nice little addition that's going to bulk up your soup. So yeah, super delicious, really easy. Healthy meals do not have to be bland and flavorless. They can be delicious and satisfying, and they are going to be healthy and nutritious, and you are going to be putting good stuff in your body instead of loading it with unhealthy prepackaged junk that's already been made. And yes, it's convenient, but this took me 15 minutes in the Instant Pot, and that's it. A 15-minute meal is not going to kill you. And look how many servings you're going to get. I had a lot of extra soup in my pot, and I was able to put that in a large container in the fridge and have that the next day. So as far as beverages go, I just stick with water all day, and I drink 3 liters of water per day, and I also have 2 herbal teas a day, and I have my morning coffee. So yeah, that is basically it. I did have a little bit of fruit in the morning. I had a couple apples, but I forgot to film that, so I did get a little bit of fruit in, but not much for this day. For some reason, I was just in the cozy vibes, winter vibes, wanting warm and hearty and cozy meals. So yeah, that's how that day went. I hope that these meals help you out. I hope that it gives you a little bit of inspiration for some quick and easy meals. And I will see you guys in the next video. Health, joy, and positive vibes for each and every one of you.